hello friends, welcome back to Night Court Narrative. My name is Elvish. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, if you guys have been here for the past few months, you guys know that I have been dealing with some severe audio issues. They should actually be completely fixed. I hope that you guys are enjoying the new sound quality that we have here. I really hope it's fixed because it has been so incredibly stressful. It has actually caused me not to upload any videos in the past month. I do have some videos that I will be uploading. As far as the April wrap up, I do have, I think, Cruel Angel, Starside, and one more video. However, those were all recorded before the audio update, so they are going to be a little bit trash, but I really don't think I should get rid of them. I don't know, I'm still on the fence about it. I might get rid of them, I might not, I don't know. I'm stressed. But yeah, so hello. Today we are doing the May wrap up. As it stands, as I'm recording it, I do have 2 more days of May. I don't necessarily know what book I'm going to attempt to read tomorrow, so there might be an additional book this month that I will read. If I do, of course, I'll add another clip letting you know how that goes, but I don't know. I might end the month strong with my 11 books. I don't know. I feel like recently I've been going through a really mad reading slump. This month I had 2 5-star reviews, or I guess ratings. I really enjoyed those 2 books. Other than that, like the books that I've had this month, I can't really seem to get over a 3-star rating. It's just no matter what book I read, I'm just not really enjoying it. And I don't know, it's been feeling kind of, I guess it's been, how do I say it? It makes me feel a little bit discouraged because I don't know, I don't like shit talking books, but at the same time, like, man, I am so bored. But first and foremost, I did finish off the Powerless series this month. I finished the final novella of this series. It is called Fearful. I won't lie to you, it shouldn't have even been a thing. It should never have been a thing. It was basically a retelling of Fearless, but we added a new character that did absolutely zero to, like, I don't know. I did not like Death. I didn't like her character. I didn't like the way she was written. I didn't even really like, I think his name is Kit. Is his name Kit? I have no idea. Listen, Powerless is basically 10 other series combined into one book. So, excuse me if I can't figure out their names, but Fearful was absolutely fucking pointless. It was useless. I hated it. I think it was only like 200 pages long, and it felt like the most excruciating short read of my life. I felt like the book was never going to end, so that was definitely a thing. Moving on, because obviously I feel like I shouldn't even have to, yeah. We have Zodiac Academy. I did finally start the series. Granted, this entire month, that is the only book out of the series I did read. It is called The Awakening. We are on book 1. This was quite interesting, actually. I really did thoroughly enjoy this book. However, was it my favorite? Unfortunately, it was not. I didn't really find anything too compelling about it, but the overall aspect of the book was really good. I did find the writing style in this specific book to be a little bit more cringe, unfortunately. It was very Discord moddy, if you kind of understand what I'm saying. I still don't necessarily know what this book is about. I won't even lie to you. I almost found everyone in this book completely unlikable, and I mean that like 1000%. I didn't really connect with a single person. And then it's kind of like what I just said. I found the writing in Zodiac Academy to be incredibly choppy and cringe. There were sayings throughout the book that just, I don't know, it just kind of gave me secondhand embarrassment. Like, one of the phrases I believe was, and I quote, "smiling like a hyena on crack." Okay, all right, I understand. The setting is basically a school full of rich, overly powerful dickheads who can say and do whatever they want. If you consider like Harry Potter, but they're adults. And this book too also made me severely uncomfortable because almost the entire book we have the non-con trope going on. I don't even want to call it a trope, but there is so much that happens to everyone in this book without consent. It's a little grapey. It's a little grapey, and I really didn't enjoy that, to be honest with you. And the two female main characters that we have, they try their hardest, and I mean like try hard level 1000, to be absolutely as quirky as humanly possible. And of course, you know, when women are supposed to be quirky in books, they come off as complete airheads and fucking dumbasses. So of course we get the survival instincts of a wet fart with the occasional pick-me energy, you know. So it was like the grapey pick-me version of Harry Potter. I did give it a 3-star. It was quite interesting. A lot of the stuff at the beginning didn't quite make sense to me. Will I continue the series? Absolutely. I do think I want to pick up book 2 to kind of see where that goes. I don't necessarily know if I will be reading the entire series, because, like, you know, the entire series is 22 books long. If you do the side sub-series or whatever that go in and they're like interconnected, it's like 22, 23 books. So yeah, it was definitely not my favorite, but it wasn't that bad. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it, but Up next is actually kind of a special book for me. I created I started my reading journey about 3 years ago. I read a little bit growing up, and then I went my entire teenage year life and half of my 20s not reading a single book. I just really didn't understand it. I didn't see the hype behind it. And my boyfriend, he does short films. He is actually on YouTube. I think he is changing his name right now on YouTube, so I don't know. But it was Generic Media, and now I think it's going to be Black Bamboo Studios. So definitely go check his short films out. More are coming soon. But about 3 years ago, he wanted to do a short film of, I can't tell you the plot, but it does require a book, and we ended up picking out the first random book that we saw. We ended up going to Barnes and Noble, and I had done a little bit of research on Book Talk at the time, or I guess I was dipping my toes into Book Talk at the time, because I definitely wanted to get a book that was really hyped up at the time. Obviously now, because we are going to be filming this 3.5 years later, I will be picking a not better, but like a more recent book, you know, something that has the attention nowadays. But we ended up finding The Silent Patient by Alex. I don't know his last name, I won't even lie to you. But The Silent Patient, I did end up reading this. I decided after 3 years of it being on my shelf, because mind you, we purchased the book with no intentions of ever actually reading it. So I finally did read it after 3 years. I don't know. I liked it. I really did. I liked it. Mind you, because of the short film, I already knew the ending, but because so much time had passed, I completely forgot the ending. I basically had to spoil the ending of the book for myself so that we had it accurate for the short film. But because it was so long, I did forget it. So I won't lie, the twist of the book did take me way too long to guess. I don't think I guessed it until literally the chapter before the actual reveal, and I literally vocally holy shit myself, you know? I liked it. I did like the twist. The writing was a little lackluster at times. It did feel very stiff at moments, and it did lack a bit of substance to help the plot grow. But I really did enjoy this book. We have what was her name? We have Alicia, you know, she is married to a photographer. I don't really like him. He was kind of he basically keeps sending her to oh, okay, I'm talking about two different plots because okay, there's I don't even know, see, I don't know how to describe this book. So there are two different plot lines, four different main characters, two female main characters, two male main characters, right? We have I'm gonna say side A, which is, I always consider them an older couple until the plot twist happened, but we have side A, which has couple 1, and side B, which has couple 2. Couple 2 is happy-go-lucky. They're amazing. He does think that his girl is cheating on him. Of course, she is. So he starts deep diving into that, eventually finds out the guy that she is cheating on him with. And then we have side B, where she's kind of happy-go-lucky, but the husband kind of like think she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or whatever. So she ends up offing her husband, or so we think, and gets put into a mental institution. Obviously the book goes blah 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 blah. You're getting your spoiler warning. 5, 4, 3, 2. We do find out that the therapist that has been assigned to her, he is the one that offed her husband because her husband was the one that was cheating on her with his girl. Does that make sense? So he found out that his girl was cheating on him with the fucking psychologist patient's husband. Fuck, I don't know how to say it. It was good. I enjoyed the twist. It was really good. I do think the book was a little bit too long for the writing style. I don't think that there was a good maybe 30% of the book, in my personal opinion, that didn't do anything to actually move the plot forward. It was kind of just filler. So I do think the book was a little bit too long for what we actually did get in the book. But the setup of the twist and the actual twist itself, I think, was really, really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. However, I did only give this one a 4-star rating. So I did enjoy it, but it did kind of lack for me a little bit, but we are okay. Next is A Fate Inked in Blood. I have like a mini challenge of my own this year. I am trying to do everything I can to read every book on my bookshelf, and I do have A Fate Inked in Blood on my bookshelf. So I went ahead and I decided to read this one. I kind of went through a little phase where I was tired of having to buy books or buy audiobooks or whatever, and I had just recently renewed my library card. So Libby had A Fate Inked in Blood available for download, which, if you guys know anything about Libby, my god, I feel like you can never find a book anywhere on Libby because everything always has like a 4 to 5 month wait. So the fact that I found this one, I was like, you know what, I'm not ready to read it, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it. I won't lie to you. I did DNF this book. I did give it a 1 star. 1 stars are typically a DNF for me. Sometimes, I don't know, I kind of don't want to rate DNFs, but I do feel like the 1 is very appropriate in my personal opinion. I did try super, super hard with this one because the premise sounded exactly like my kind of fantasy. We have Norse-inspired world, fae-driven story, tension, high stakes, perfection. But for some reason, around the 40% mark, I realized that the pages were just that. I mean, there was really no movement without, like, there was literally no movement. There was no plot, there was no movement, there was no connection, there was no drive, there was nothing. This book does somehow manage to constantly do things while simultaneously feeling like nothing at all. There is so much heavy description in this book of actions, traveling, looking, touching, reacting, but like no emotional depth behind it, no actual immersive payoff or anything of that nature. So it started to feel more like I was reading just words on a page rather than understanding or comprehending what I was actually reading. So unfortunately, I did not enjoy this book at all. And the romance, I guess, if I'm going to call it that, felt way more prioritized than the actual plot or progression of this book. And to be honest with you, I didn't find it that spicy or romantic. I don't know. I just died. I talked shit about this book and almost like died on my own air. Holy fuck. Okay. So I did end up DNFing at 40%. It started off super, super interesting, and then literally like not even halfway to the book, everything that was interesting about this book just completely just stopped. And I don't understand the reasoning behind that. So for me personally, I thoroughly did not enjoy this book. Yeah. The next book is a very controversial take. I know a lot of people are going to be upset about this, but because I did read the Powerless series, and I do agree that it was basically 20,000 books combined into one, I did end up picking up the Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is the original creator that Powerless did take from. I won't lie though, in my personal opinion, because I haven't read the other Red Queen books, only half of the Powerless book, specifically book 1, only half of the Powerless book was taken from the Red Queen. The other half was mainly just the Hunger Games. So I don't necessarily see the arguments saying that the entire Powerless series is taken from the Red Queen. I don't see that quite yet, but I'm still working on it. However, super unpopular opinion, I did give this one a 2-star rating. I don't have too much to say about it, so I am actually going to read my Goodreads review for you so that you can like see it. But yeah, here's my Goodreads review, because I don't know. I can't tell you the differences between them, which is really bad. So rather than accidentally mixing up and telling you about Powerless or whatever, here's Red Queen. Okay. I can absolutely see, I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I kind of already paraphrased. I can absolutely see why people make the comparison that, okay, I do have to start from the beginning. Okay. I finally picked up the Red Queen after all of the allegations surrounding Powerless, and yeah, I can absolutely see why people make the comparison. The first 15% is genuinely almost copy and paste at times. The setup, certain scenes, the atmosphere is very hard to ignore. There's even a later moment involving a wedding that immediately made me think of book 4 of Powerless. That being said, once I got further into the story, I honestly stopped seeing the similarities as much. Outside of the beginning, I personally feel like Powerless actually takes more inspiration from the Hunger Games than Red Queen. The overall tone, pacing, and emotional focus just feel very different to me. Now, this might be controversial, but I do think I slightly prefer the writing style in Powerless more. And before anyone comes for me, I am talking specifically about book 1 versus book 1, not the series as a whole. I found the flow in Powerless to be a lot smoother, and I connected with the characters much faster. With Red Queen, I struggled quite a bit after the first 50% mark. The story started feeling heavily descriptive without enough action or emotional payoff to really support the plot progression. I also don't connect deeply with any of the characters, which made the ending fall kind of flat for me. I kept waiting for the moment where everything would click emotionally and just never really happened. Also, I need it to be known that if anyone else got the vibe, ignoring the beginning similarities, I almost found Light Lark. I know, controversial, hold on, stick with me. I almost found Lightlark to be more spiritually similar to the book than Powerless did. The dramatic atmosphere and the tension-heavy interactions, the emphasis on vibes and romance over deeper political development, it reminded me of Light Lark way more than I expected. Overall, I wouldn't say necessarily one book is better than the other, because I'm never going to fully praise work that feels heavily inspired to the point of imitation, but at the end of the day, I just personally didn't connect with Red Queen the way I hoped I would, and I honestly don't feel interested enough to continue the series. So I did give this one a 2-star. Also, I am so sorry. I have severe dyslexia, so I am sorry that I stumble over my words when I read stuff. I try my best. I am just a girl. Will I be continuing this series? I will not, unfortunately. So I will never fully understand the differences between the Red Queen series and the Powerless series. I did fully finish the Powerless series, so I do think that that is a little bit of a tell on its own. So do with that information what you will. Up next, we are halfway through now. I did actually read Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. My boyfriend and I just celebrated our 6-year anniversary. We ended up seeing Wicked on Broadway. It was phenomenal. He actually enjoyed it himself, which was insane. I don't think he dreaded it, but Wicked is definitely not his forte, so he definitely wasn't as excited as I was going into it, but he admitted that he really enjoyed it. So before we went, I wanted to give Wicked a chance. I do realize that this book came out 31 years ago. I get that. So with that being said, unfortunately, I did give this book a 3-star rating. Okay. Now, mind you, with how much I love Wicked, everyone and their mothers would have thought that I would have praised this book and I would have given it a 5-star rating. I think if I read it around the time, obviously 31 years ago, I feel like it would have been different. Seeing how life has progressed now, 30 years later, I do think the book lacked on quite a bit. But, yeah. This book is obviously very, very different from the movie or musical adaptation. Some of the family dynamics, friendships, and even the facts that feel so established in the musical are completely different in this book. The book takes the familiar world we know and twists it into something much darker and honestly stranger and way less friendly than I originally expected. I kind of did know that the book was going to be a little bit darker in themes, but I didn't know to what extent. The writing style of Gregory Maguire is also not my favorite. Part of me kind of like wonders if, as I just mentioned, it was because it was written 30 years prior. The writing felt both stiff and sporadic at the exact same time. The POVs jump around almost every single chapter. And also, can we talk about how every single fucking chapter, and I literally mean, like, it got to the point where I had to stop physically reading it and I had to move over to the audiobook. Every single chapter was like 80 pages long. And I moved over to the audiobook, and every single, mind you, I listen to audiobooks at 2 times speed, sometimes like 2.1, 2, 3, whatever. I listen to my audiobooks at 2 times speed. The chapters were literally 2 hours long each chapter. The book was, I think, 9 chapters long. Let me just let that sink in for a minute. Okay? It was fucking atrocious. But every chapter, the POV switched, so we had the entire chapter around one specific character, whether it was Bach, Glinda, Elphaba, whatever. And a good example of what I mean by stiff and sporadic at the exact same time is the fact that we rarely experience the actual journey of anything happening. We get a tiny bit of information with little to no buildup or description, and then suddenly we're thrown into an entire paragraph where everything has already happened and we just expect to accept the conclusion. One of the biggest examples for me personally in this book is the children. There are barely any buildup to the moment emotionally or like narratively, I guess. And then suddenly Fiero and Elphaba have children. I was reading the book. I don't even remember, like, they literally just say They literally just say, oh, like, the kitty meow is purple, and then they go to the next like thing, like the next paragraph, and their children are running around, and I'm just like, wait, you just described Elphaba's kitty meow, and now they have 2 children running around, and I understand one thing leads to another, and then like this action causes them, but like right? Okay, I really wish we got to spend more time seeing those developments happen naturally, instead of constantly feeling like we skipped over important moments, and this was literally the entire book. Yeah. I won't lie too. Wicked did make me feel genuinely uncomfortable, and I'm not super woke or anything of that nature, or I'm not typically one that goes and feels triggered, I guess you'll say. But there were so many racist terminologies and descriptions throughout this book. So much so that I actually had to look up a Reddit forum. It was people arguing whether or not Wicked was racist. Obviously, Wicked is racist because everyone is discriminating this person because of the color of her skin, and it's the discrimination and everything towards not only her but the animals. Obviously, this book is racist. Anyone who says otherwise is just completely fucking blind. Anywho, I do understand that this book is heavily rooted in discrimination and the hatred of those perceived as quote-unquote different, and I also recognize that this book was written 30 years ago. However, some of the phrasing still felt very unnecessary and harmful, actually. I wish I remembered I ended up messaging one of my friends, and I was telling her about one of the harmful things that was said, and I was just like, why was this necessary? It was so racist, and I can't even begin to put my finger on what it was. I think I kind of like blocked it out. But like continuing on, even the way that women were described throughout the book, I don't know. I felt like certain wording and descriptions surrounding women's bodies just felt so unnecessary at times. There was a paragraph involving younger women, like younger girls, like kids, and he made comments about their quote-unquote lack of breasts, and I'm just like, okay, that was unnecessary. I could have used without that, but whatever. And it's not me saying that male authors can't write about women, sexuality, bodily topics, anything like that, but it was specifically the way that he said it and the like descriptions that he was using. It just felt very PDF, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. I might attempt it. I just think, because I do have Elfie, the newer book that just came out a few months ago. I do have that one on my bookshelf behind me right now. It is a prequel of her, but I don't know if I'm genuinely going to finish this series. It's not the fact that it's Wicked itself, because again, I love Wicked, I love The Wizard of Oz, I love The Wiz, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the terminologies that he uses, and it's just really not my favorite. So we'll see. I think there are 4 more books, and I think we have a Glinda book coming out this year as well, but whatever, I digress. Next I do have Feybound. I'm so sorry, I'm going to pronounce the name wrong, but this is Feybound by Sarah El Arifi. I gave this book a 3-star rating. There are 2 more books in the series, and I don't know. I was going to start book 2, but then got incredibly busy at work. Unfortunately, book 2 was from Libby, and it expired, so I do have to go back and recheck that book out. But I won't lie, I'm sorry, I have nothing to say about this book. I have nothing to say at all. So I will revert back to my Goodreads review, which will give you absolutely nothing, but it literally says, "For once, I have no review to give. The beginning was super interesting, but then as the book went on, something was missing, but I can't pinpoint what that was. I will read book 2 to see, but right now, it's not life-changing." That's it. I can't. The sister is the head of the military. She gets exiled. The other sister ends up going on a journey to try and get her back and to bring her back, even though she was exiled, and that's literally not how that works at all. But the entire book is the journey, and if you take Lord of the Rings and wring out all of the interesting parts and the amazing dialogue and the humor and the emotional impact, and you just wring everything out and then get the boring parts of their journey, unfortunately, that's what Fatebound is. So, yeah. Up next, I did read Branded. This one is by Saffron A. Kent. I have had this book on my radar forever. Also, small disclaimer, pause. My VTuber is not moving as much as she usually is. I am freezing my ass off, and so, like, I am shaking so bad, and I'm unable to be, But yeah, I read Branded by Saffron A. Kent. I gave this one a 3-star. This one had so much potential, y'all. This one had so much potential. I genuinely think that this one could have been way fucking better if it was done properly. The concept immediately hooked me. Obviously, we have pen pals where one person is incarcerated. Absolutely, I love that. 10 out of 10. The Edge made the story incredibly strong as well. We have the bad boy in prison. He's kind of too hard, rough around the edges. And then we have the, college girl student. I think she was in high school at the moment, and then afterwards was in college. But we have the little goody two shoes talking to the convict. It was really good. Add in the lies, manipulation, forced marriage, obviously later on in the book. This book was everything that a dark romance should have been, until it wasn't. What really started off as like an amazing dark romance story, it somehow turned into an awkward 80s porno. And I quite literally mean that. I literally do not say that lightly, and I know that sounds really fucking bad, but the terminology alone in this book was enough to like literally send me into cardiac arrest. It gave me secondhand embarrassment more than you should know. And honestly, if I have to hear him, our male main character, call her kitty Meow a snitch one more time, I might actually literally pass away. Like DED dead, like actual ascend to the great heavens. It was so fucking cringe. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I hated it. And the female main character also made absolutely zero sense to me. She's written as this painfully shy, damaged, clueless virgin who constantly talks about how undesirable she is, but then every time anyone ever speaks of her in the book, they are like swooning over her body. Not necessarily swooning, I wouldn't say swooning, but they are very, very obviously emotionally drawn to her and her look. So I don't understand why this "I can't do anything, tee-hee," like I don't understand it. But like 1 second she's acting absolutely innocent to the point where it's so absurd, and then the next she's making comments that completely contradict that persona. And like she talks about him sexually, obviously, because it is a dark romance, we do get spice, but one breath she's talking about how, oh, I could never do this, I don't even know what this is, I don't even know how to do this, and then like literally 2 seconds later she's talking like she has 30 years of experience under her belt, and I'm just like, okay, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. And then, like, there was one moment, I did write this in my Goodreads review too. There was one moment where he was literally talking about, like, extorting her, like, basically saying, like, oh, you should dance for me, ha 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 ha, and I'll give you a tip. Obviously, it's a double-sided meaning. It's a double entendre. Is that what it's called? I don't fucking know. Listen, yes, he's talking about, like, when she used to be an old stripper, or talking about an old stripper time, and then saying dance and all that, and say, I'll give you a tip, and, like, money. She literally has the audacity to look confused and say, what is that? What is that? What is that? Bitch, you know what the fuck he's talking about when he says he's gonna give you a fucking tip. Like, stop being a fucking 2-year-old. Like, you literally are over here fucking salivating at the mouth, somehow thinking of him fucking plowing you, and then once he says, I'm gonna give you a tip, you're like, oh my god, I don't even know what that is. I'm a good girl. Like, bitch, be so fucking for real right now. Like, and then we have the fucking old 80s porno horrific music. Like, you know what they make fun of, where it's like the old like, you know, and then, like, the guy comes up to the door and knocks, and he has, like, a fucking pizza box. Come on, man. That is literally what this book was. It was horrendous. The book had so much fucking potential. This book had, if we had a different writer, and I'm sorry, I never want to say this out loud, and I never want to disrespect the author, but if we had a different author writing this book, it could have easily been a 5-star. I just think, I don't even know who this person even is, who this author is. They need to get out of the 80s and thrive in the 2000s. That's all I'm saying. Up next, we have the new installment of the Kings of Sin series. This one is book 6. We have King of Gluttony. The King of Sin series is one of my all-time favorite series. I love this series without a doubt, hands down, 100%. If you have no idea what Kings of Sin is, I will take 2 seconds to explain it. It won't be long. Kings of Sin is basically this, let's just say, this massive corporation of billionaires. They all are CEOs of their own respective companies. They all have the brutalness that comes along with it, the hardships that come along with it, and we have the women that they get along with, or absolutely fucking hate, and eventually create relationships with them. Each book is technically a standalone, however, they are interconnected. So book 1 characters are still being discussed, talked about, and are making appearances in book 6. And vice versa. Obviously, the longer we go on, like, I don't think book 5 characters were introduced until, like, book 4, if that makes sense. I don't think so. They are interconnected. It is an entire world. It revolves around Valhalla, the club, and everything of that nature. I love the King of Sin series so much. And obviously, it's called Kings of Sin, so we are going through the 7 deadly sins. So there is one more book in the series before it is wrapped up. But we have every single sin. We are now on gluttony. This one revolves around Sebastian and Maya. I think her name is Maya. They are both into cooking, foods, all that, whatever. Sebastian is CEO of, obviously, this, like, restaurant-ish company, culinary empire, if you will. But he wants an outing, and he really wants to go and thrive with being a chef. But obviously, Daddy Dearest does not want the empire to crumble without his son being the head of it. So obviously he's like, no, you can't do this, or stipulation, if you can do XYZ, then this will happen. So of course we have the marketing executive, Maya. She is her and Sebastian have been best friends for years. Since they were kids, they've gone to school together, they butt heads, they intentionally try their best to one-up one another all the time. So we definitely have the banter right off the bat. They are spicy with one another. Now, I'm not saying spicy. Eventually, I do say spice as in like spice, but I say spicy as in like the hatred towards one another. It gets a little bit burned, you know, burnish, like hot. So obviously they get together. They are forced to work hand in hand with one another. They are trying to set up a, how do I say this? They're trying to set up a foundation, I don't know how to describe it, where they are doing frozen foods but making it taste like culinary quality foods, if that makes sense. So they end up creating a banquet. They go through all of this, invite all of the head honchos. Unfortunately, someone does tamper with the food and makes everyone sick and gives everyone food poisoning, which does eventually make both of their long-lasting careers crumble under their fingers. They do end up figuring it out during the long run. Like throughout the book, they end up creating this relationship, so it goes from harsh banter to amazing relationships and whatever. I know this probably sounds like a horrible book because I can't even describe what I read, but this was a phenomenal book. I gave this a 5-star rating. I won't even lie to you. The entire book, I can usually tell my rating throughout the book before I even get there, but I was so hard set on this book being a 4.5 until maybe the last 10 chapters, and the writing, the descriptions, the everything, it made me so overly emotional, joyful, sad, every emotion literally stirred up in this massive fucking cauldron. I immediately knew that this was a 5-star read for me. I loved absolutely everything about this book. The only reason why I was going to get a 4.5, the thing about Kings of Sin series though, and the thing that you need to realize before you go into it, some of the books, mind you, there are 6 of them, some of the books are a little bit slower than the others. However, we are going based off of the billionaire at that moment, and if they lead a slower, more, I wouldn't say laid back, because no male main character in the series is laid back, but if they lead a slower, less sporadic life, the writing is going to be a little bit slower. Now, if they're constantly boom, 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 go, 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 task, 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 the writing is a little bit more hectic and quick-witted, if that makes sense. So some of the books are a little bit slower than others, so definitely take that with a grain of salt, because going in, you might think that they're perfectly fine. I do think that this book needs to 100% be read. I do think this is a series that needs more praise. I fucking love the King of Sin series. King of Gluttony, 5 stars, absolutely loved it. Anna Huang is doing her thing. I also am reading her second, she has 3 different series from what I know, maybe 4, but I'm on another series with her. It's a trilogy. I'm waiting for book 3 to come out. Both of those books as well also have 5 stars. So Anna Huang, one of my go-to authors, I suggest reading her. If you have not, try the King of Sin series first, because I can at least attest for those to know that they are perfection. Next is Project Hail Mary. I am going to make an entire video of this, so I'm going to try not to talk too long on it. But I've had Project Hail Mary on my TBR for years. At least 3.5 years at this point. I don't know what kept me from reading it, but we ended up coming home the other day. We had hot wings. We were ready to just sit back, relax, eat our chicken, and we decided, you know what, today is a movie night. Let's just pick a random movie. I don't care what it is. We'll even rent it if needed. Project Hail Mary is obviously able to be rented at the moment, so we rented that. And my god, when I tell you, Project Hail Mary, the movie, was easily easily now one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I loved it so much. And because of that, I was like, okay, I've had the book on my TBR for years. So I loved the movie so much. Let me go ahead and read the book just to see if it compares to the movie or if there are differences, whatever the case, anything like that. Obviously, I am well aware that movies and books are always vastly different from one another, but I think that's what piqued my interest ultimately, because I really wanted to see what the differences were between the book adaptation and the movie adaptation. So I went ahead and I read Project Hail Mary. I gave this book a 5-star rating. I loved this book so wholeheartedly. I love this book. It's easily one of my top 10 favorite books. I cannot even begin to fathom the fact that it took me this long to read it. I will say, obviously I won't spoil the movie for those who haven't seen it yet. I will say the book is more science driven, while the movie is more emotionally driven. The book, you do get more scientific facts, procedures, all of that good stuff, which I was reading the reviews on Goodreads, and almost all of the bad reviews had an issue with the book being so scientific driven. I think it did very well. I personally felt the book, and maybe this is what the author was intending for it to be, but in my personal opinion, I felt the book to be written as if we were listening to the video log. The book was very written like we were in his head, we were hearing his monologue, dialogue, all of that good shit firsthand without it being like written down for later consumption, if that makes sense. So I do feel like we did get the best version of him. I also do think the relationship between Grace and Rocky is a little bit better in the book. In the movie, it was very instant friendship, instant attraction, but in the book you definitely do have to thrive as two different entities to become friends, if that makes sense. Grace definitely had to, and obviously Rocky on his side, they both had to gain that trust with one another before the friendship actually did take off and become something. We also do get to see the progression with the language barrier between Rocky and Grace a little bit more in depth in the book. We also do get to see the more of the political strain that the astrophage and the sun, I guess, made the world panic. We do see a little bit more of a widespread panic amongst the entire world. So yeah, we also do get to see in the book a little bit more on why people were chosen to go up into space in Project Hail Mary. And we get to see a little bit more of the corruption behind that. I do think in the movie, not knowing what I know in the book, I do think the movie did it quite well. I do think, even though they didn't really explain much, they did well with what they could. However, in the book, they do go into more detail about why they were chosen, what happened along the run, why his companions did end up DED in the ship, you know, once he awoke from his coma, all of that good shit. So ultimately, I did really enjoy both versions of Project Hail Mary. I do think they both did a wonderful job with what they could. I don't want to sit there and say that one is better than the other. I don't necessarily think one is better than the other, but I do think you do get a different emotional payoff depending on which version you do take. If you want more of a emotional payoff, obviously the movie is better for you in the long run. However, if you want more of an intellectual, trust-ridden journey, I do think the book is better for you. Again, they both have differences in both, but I do think they are both equally good for what they are. So 100% I recommend Project Hail Mary, one of my top 10 favorite books that I have ever read. Yeah. And finally, for now, I did read the 6th book in the Dream Harbor series. This is the Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Lori Gilmore. The Dream Harbor series is one of my well-loved series as well. I definitely do go out of my way to pre-order all of the books in this series because I really do like it. Just like the King of Sin series, each book is a standalone series, or it could be read as a standalone, but it all is interconnected. So once again, book 1 characters are in every single book 2, so on and so forth. You also see the progression of the characters. So if they get married in one book, they have children in the next book, and you meet them and their children. You know what I mean? So Dream Harbor series is a very controversial series as well, especially on Book Talk, because you either really love the series or you really hate it. There is absolutely no in between. It's either overly hyped or underhyped. You don't get that middle ground. So it's definitely one of those books it's one of those series where you either do or you don't. So go into that knowing that information. This one is book 6. It's called the Daisy Chain Flower Shop. Obviously, we have Daisy. She has a flower shop. And we have Elliot. He is obviously a newcomer. He just went through a divorce, so he's going through his own bullshit. He comes back to Dream Harbor. We have Daisy. She has such unluckiness when it comes to love and dating and all of that shit. So her flower shop has gained the reputation of being cursed, and so she is now fighting for her life to try and get that reputation lifted off, because obviously sales for her flower shop are depleting. Obviously no one wants flowers for their grand wedding or birthdays or anything like that from a place that is overly cursed. So they do go into a fake dating. They gain this fake relationship and try and coerce the entire town into thinking that she finally found her one true match. I gave this one a 3.5. Now, mind you, I did just say, I know, I did just say this is one of my well-loved series. I do really love this series. However, I feel like the plot in the series is completely getting lost. What was once, in my opinion, a fantastic series is now starting to lose its peak and lose the spark that came along with it. I once praised a series for being able to host numerous characters. You know that if you guys know me, you know that I am very harsh on books with numerous characters, because every single character has to have a certain dynamic to them in order to stand out amongst a group of people, especially when being written. A lot of characters cannot do that, unfortunately. A lot of characters, or a lot of authors, cannot do even 2 characters sometimes. So being able to host a 10+ character book, especially a series, was something that I praised Lori Gilmore on a ton. It didn't matter how many characters that she had in her book, she always did a wonderful job at making them distinct from one another. However, I do feel like the longer that the series goes, the more each character is getting shown over by another character. We are losing the personality, the qualities, and the spark that make each character different and distinct from one another, which is honestly a little bit disheartening to me. The spice in particular in this book was a thing. It wasn't good. It wasn't the worst, but mind you, it wasn't good. So it wasn't, it was there. It was a choice, but I could have gone without it. I also have no idea what the plot in this book was either. I obviously know that this book was about the fake relationship of trying to get the book, or of trying to get the Daisy Chain Flower Shop to not be cursed anymore. But I have no idea what happened. We usually have a set topic that the book dives deep into, but I feel like this book really only had the plot of trying to get the curse broken, but I do feel like the plot stopped so abruptly. Still a day later, I'm confused. I finished it yesterday. I have no idea how this book ended as far as like the plot goes. I don't remember any conclusion whatsoever. I don't remember this is what happened, this is what happened. I genuinely don't even fucking remember. I also feel like everyone has the same outcome. Every book, we have something wrong with the store, whether it was the cinnamon bun, whether it was the strawberry pancake house, whether it was, every book has something wrong with the store. A new person comes into town. Oh my god, we jump into a relationship, whether it's fake, forced, genuine, something like that. They go through possibly town drama, mid-story breakup, then they get back together, and then they're married by the end of the book with children. Okay, mind you, this is book 6. This is the 6th time we've seen that same plot structure, and now I'm kind of getting bored, unfortunately. So I won't lie, it wasn't my favorite book. I'm obviously going to read book 7. I don't know if there are that many books in the series left. I think there might be 1 or 2 books left, but if there is, because I know there's an apple pie shop or something coming out, but they did a test run of it in Europe, so I know that that book is circulating as well. That might be book 7.5. I think it's a little novella, but anyway, I think there might be a book, 1 or 2 books left. I will definitely obviously read them to conclude the series, but I definitely don't see the series ending well. What started off amazing is just no longer my cup of tea. And I'm on Goodreads as we speak because I like to just see everything. Book 1 and book 2, 5-star. Book 3, 3-star. Book 4, 6-star. That was my favorite. Book 5, 3-star. And book 6, 4-star or 3.5-star. Oh, the apple pie is book 4.5, so we don't have that one yet. So obviously this is very hit or miss. There's a few books in this series that actually like overshine the others, and then some books in my personal opinion that didn't really do good at all. However, in my personal opinion, I did give The Christmas Tree Farm book 3 a 3-star, but I think Aqua gave it like a 4, 4.5. So it is also to your discretion as well on whether or not you're gonna like it. But I don't know, this series wasn't really my favorite. I didn't really enjoy this, the series is a well-liked one, but this book wasn't my favorite. I could have honestly gone without. I don't feel like it added anything to the series or anything like that. It was just a filler book, if you will. So I don't know. But yeah, that was all I have read so far. I know this was a super long video, but that is what I read in the month of May. This was 11 books. I don't really know what's going on with me. I am kind of going through a little slump, I guess, maybe, but I have reached 94 books of the year, so I am still going strong. But I don't know. I'm hoping that next month maybe has more. I know it is summertime at my job, so definitely reading is a little bit not as much of a priority because obviously I have to be constantly working, so books might go downhill a little bit, but that is okay. I'm hoping to continue some of these series next month. If not, I will definitely continue my TBR and then we will go from there. But yeah, what books did you guys love this month? What book did you hate this month? How many books did you guys read this month? Like, literally let me know. I would definitely love to know. But yeah, that is all I have for today. This book is already an hour long. I hope that you guys do not mind, but I will be back in the next video. Bye.